A lot of students have asked us one common question, and the question is, are have had, has had, and had correct or not? And the quick answer is they are correct. Now, before we start talking about it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Let's proceed. Before we start talking about why they are correct, the first thing that we need to understand is that have can be used in place of many other verbs. For example, if I want to say I want to eat some food, you can also say I want to have some food. If you want to say I want to drink some water, you can also say I want to have some water. So have can be used in place of eating, drinking. Have can also be used in the place of your experience. For example, I had depression 2 years back. Okay, that means I experienced depression 2 years back. Have can also be used when you own something. For example, I have a car. That means I own a car. So we need to remember that have can be used in place of many action words, many verbs. Look at this sentence. I have eaten my breakfast. This sentence is in present perfect tense, and the same sentence can be said as I have had my breakfast. What's the reason? The reason is that eat can be replaced with have, and eaten is the third form of eat, right? Eat, ate, eaten, and had is the third form of have. Have, had, and had. So in the sentence where we have present perfect tense, we always use the third form of the verb. So I have eaten is right. In the same place, we can also say I have had my breakfast. So here had means eaten. Another example is he has had 4 cars. That means he has owned 4 cars. So you have to remember that in the present perfect tense, there are two major scenarios where we use this tense. The first scenario is to talk about your recent events, something that happened recently. For example, I have eaten my breakfast or I have had my breakfast. If somebody asks you at 11 a.m., hey, have you had your breakfast? You can answer, yes, I have had my breakfast. That means you have had it recently. Another place where we use present perfect tense is to talk about your experiences till now. For example, he has owned 4 cars in his life. That means till now he has owned 4 cars, and since have can replace own, I can also say he has had 4 cars in his life. The only difference here is that with he we are using has, and with I we are using have. So with he, she, it we use has. With I, with you, we, they, or anything plural we use have. That's the only difference. Otherwise, in both the places where we are using have had or has had, this is an example of present perfect tense. Now let's look at this sentence. I had eaten my breakfast. Now this sentence is an example of past perfect tense. And where do we use past perfect tense? When we have two actions in the past. Both the actions are in the past, but one action happened first and then another action happened. There we used past perfect tense. For example, when I reached the theater, the movie had started. When I reached the theater, the movie had started. That means the movie started first and then I reached the theater. Another example is when you came home, I had eaten. That means I ate first and then you came home. So when there are two actions in the past and one action happened first, there we use had plus third form of the verb. So when you came home, I had eaten my breakfast, and since eaten can be replaced by the third form of have, which is had, have, had, that's why we can also say when you came to my house, I had had my breakfast. The second had that we are talking about is simply replacing eaten, and that's why this sentence is correct. So just to summarize, eaten, drunk, experienced, and owned can be replaced by had, because all these are the third forms of that specific verb. And I have eaten my breakfast can be said as I have had my breakfast. He has eaten can be said as he has had, and I had eaten can be said as I had had. One last example before we go. By the time I was 15, I had experienced enough. That means by the time I was 15, I had had enough. Here we are replacing experienced with had, and that's why this sentence is absolutely correct. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel, and we are coming up with easier explanations of more grammatical concepts in these videos very soon.